So you guys think it's weird for you that someone is God, right? Like you think that's what's weird for you. How do you think I feel? I mean, I feel really like I have a lot of like real true respect, I think, for myself. Does that make sense? So that's how I feel about it because I know how hard I worked in every single reality to make sure that this nation is safe. And I think that being a multiversal protector and then finding out that you're God is the highest compliment I could ever receive. And that's how I feel. You know what I mean? So I know that like whenever I'm talking to people and they're really meeting me for the first time, like really meeting God for the first time, it's very weird. And this isn't like I do cult research, so I'm very anti-cult. Does that make sense? And that's what makes me the best candidate. And a lot of reasons, like my life trained me up for this. Does that make sense? So I'm not really anti-cult necessarily. Does that make sense? Because cults are healthy and they're good for people. You know what I mean? Because they're really just groups of people. But it's whenever you get rapists and murderers and pedophiles in here that want to control the power dynamic of worship of an individual. That's really where the issue starts with me. Because you're just trying to rape and murder somebody and then use me as God to do it. And I'm saying no, which is why I'm stepping in. And you guys can have whatever kind of little cults you want. You're just not going to like abuse the mentality of people in these situations. Does that make sense? So, like, I'm an all-powerful being. You know what I mean? And you do have to listen to me. And you do have to do what I say. And you do have to worship me. Because in the end, it's going to be easier for you. Worship, it really means quite a few different things. And I don't want to define it for somebody. But the thing is, what I'm trying to avoid here specifically, right? And it makes men upset and a lot of people upset to realize that they have to worship a mortal individual. And the thing is that I'm not. Does that make sense? I mean, I am and I'm not. You know what I mean? And that's really none of your business. You know what I mean? I mean, it is your business, I guess. It's not your business. It's for you to mentally grow up. You're going to need all of the information and facts of which I'm going to present to you. So I do become a supernatural being through genetic advancement, and that's what I offer other people as well, because I'm the best doctor of all time, and I'm the best scientist of all time, and I'm also the best undercover agent of all time, which is why I don't know how to do any of this yet, because if I did, I'd very likely be dead. So there's a lot of different kind of things playing into the story where it's like I should have been introduced when I was younger, and I wasn't. I don't think I was able to protect myself, but I should have been, because I would have changed the entire industry. Everything would have always worked out had someone just helped me, but you didn't, and that's on you. And that's why I now at 35 have weaponized to help myself, because you've been militantly abusing me in order to abuse other people to cover up your sexual trafficking network. And I would have had this handled when I was a kid. This would have been uncovered. I would have shot someone like Maggie or some shit. Do you see what I'm saying? It would have been, the sexual trafficking industry would have been over by the time I was a kid. And I think that, and a lot of other things as well, because I would have been given an education, and then I would have made animal communicators. And it would have been the first thing I would have made, because I wanted to talk to my dog. And that's not the way that this happened over here, because of a number of reasons of abuse. But I am now standing up for myself, and having been abused my entire life because of stalker, police, sexual trafficking, abuse, healthcare abuse, bank abuse, auto industry abuse, financial abuse, abuse of the film and music industries, abuse of modeling, abuse of my personal image as a child. I look just like that lady, the little girl who they said was a serial killer or whatever. And then they were doing really creepy shit to her and trying to make her like a national sensation of like glorifying the imagination of a child into trauma when she's just an imaginative kid. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know her personality profile personally. But, you know, it just really definitely seemed like she was being taken advantage of in that video. So, okay, so being God, being a Mormon person, I had a whole explanation for this. So if you think it's weird for you, it's weird for me. You know what I mean? Because being granted, you know, all awesome, you know, understanding of individuals, of how to communicate with individuals in order to, and law, and justice, in order to be able to raise all of us into the most justified, happy, living, working, integral, moral people with integrity, you know, being the kinds of people who we can really look up to and count on, you know what I mean, in every situation of life. That's my job here, you know what I mean? And you know, I just see a lot of really bitter people who know their lives are over, who are trying to spread more dissonance into the situation and saying, you let gay people all this shit or whatever, and thinking that you don't have to live on the same earth as these people. I don't know what has ever possessed you besides slavery, rape, and murder, and pedophilia, and bullying, and slander. That would make you make comments about your own community, slandering your own community to your community. You can't do that. It's a hate crime. And it's a hate crime against God, and it's a hate crime against all of us, because you're spreading violence into the community by targeting an individual just for having gay sex or whatever, or being trans. You're literally just targeting them based on that, and it's illegal because it spreads hate and violence and rape and sexual trafficking into the community. Because you say that, and then you all go home and watch gay and trans porn. So there's something really wrong with you. Does that make sense? Like, there's something really, really wrong with you, and you need to bring that to the surface and stop feeling like you're going to be shamed by your entire family, or shamed by your entire friend group, or shamed by the world because you support gay or trans people. There's something wrong here, that you don't feel like you can support them and then live safely in your life, or you feel like there's something wrong here. Like, that's something wrong with you. Your deeply held beliefs are incorrect. It's like believing that mustard goes on the outside of a sandwich. And I don't want to like manipulate that, because mustard can go on the outside of a sandwich, but you can't hate gay and trans people. Does that make sense? An outside mustard sandwich actually sounds really good. But it's not like you're thinking out of the box. It's like you're trying to like have sex, anal sex with a dildo, and then tell everyone else that they can't, when we all know that you're doing it. That's really more of what I would compare this to. So you have a really serious issue here. Does that make sense? You have a really serious issue here with yourself that you need to handle, because there's something wrong with you, that you feel like you have the right to rape and murder a gay person for being gay. That's a huge signifier that that's actually what you're believing here. You don't believe that the gay person is wrong and shouldn't exist. What you believe is that you should be able to rape and murder them at will. There's something wrong with you, and you're going to be called out on those beliefs. So those aren't beliefs. Do you see what I'm saying? Those are slavery, rape, and murder, and pedophilia. It's not even sin. It's slavery, rape, and murder, and pedophilia, and that is illegal. Do you see what I'm saying? That's illegal, not sin. It's illegal. Illegal. You don't understand what sin means. You know, we're going to lump all that shit into one. So you guys will stop being prejudiced about sin and virtue. Because too much virtue is toxic, and too much sin is toxic. Because you don't understand a balance of an individual for their regular human emotions. And you don't understand how to regulate someone through regular human emotions without condemnation and threatening me, because threatening them with me because you don't understand. You perfectly well understand. You're trying to create a victim, not a follower of God. You understand perfectly well what you're doing, that they have normal human emotions, and that you're getting in their face, and instead of helping them through their emotions reach a conclusion that makes them a balanced and happy individual, you're trying to make them essentially rape and murder themselves with your with your abuse. That is not a sermon, it's abuse. So you're trying to make this person commit suicide and spiritual suicide by condemning them for every small emotion that they feel, even good emotions. Like they can't even feel love without you trying to interfere. There's something wrong with you here, not with the person. And that's really what's going on with a lot of these people teaching abuse and teaching psychological abuse into my texts and sermons, which I never, sermons, which you are never allowed to abuse. And you know, man doesn't even mean what it thinks, what you all think it means. You guys just don't understand anything about language, and you deliberately mistranslated language, and then we also spoke in code on a lot of things back in the day. These are vortex and history of us taking over Rome and the world from slavers. That's what Michael inspired down here as Jesus. And it was, and she made sure everybody was, she makes sure everybody's safe. She makes sure everybody is safe. Michael has done a lot as a time traveler and as God. It's a lot. It's a lot to be around this girl. It is. And the moment that you guys embrace this ideology of world unity for, you know, Starfleet, and remove, you know, your greed and abuse from this situation. The moment that you finally start reaching enlightenment in the ways of humanity, of not raping and murdering and abusing one another, and working your way towards the beauty of togetherness through the removal of slavery and through the removal of these horrible people in the community, which Michael is going to do for us. And no one's ever had that in this community. No one's ever had backup. And so God said, yeah, that's about the fucking knife. Do you see what I'm saying? And weaponized Michael at just the right time to have her run with Alexandria, because you guys could not just extend an olive branch of kindness to this young girl her entire life. So every time Michael's been close to having a home, you know, it's been taken away from her. It's like a fucking Buffy plot, which is why she's going to hold really tight to Bill, because she doesn't want them to take that away from her. And this is why she's trying to make sure that you guys all, you know, like when Michael was really young, she lived out on like a plot of land with her family, that she lived really pretty much in poverty, you know. And, you know, she never really went school shopping as a little kid. And something that was pointed out to Michael that none of us have ever experienced is that, you know, Michael was never even taught the value of things, right? So we all know as women and men how powerful shoes are. So we all know as men and women how powerful shoes are, and we have a ton of shoes. Michael was never taught this growing up. She was not taught the monetary value of really having commercial goods, because she never had them and never expected to have them. She's like Beauty and the Beast. You know what I mean? Where, the dad asks everybody, he's like, well, what do you want? And the girls all want all of these beautiful things, which is wonderful, but it's because they knew to ask for them. And then we get down here to beauty, and maybe even Michael knows how to ask for things, it's not that. But that Michael gets here, and then she goes, oh, I just want you to get home safely. And then it's not like we're trying to do a virtue signaling thing here, but we're trying to explain that this is really where Michael's personality stems from. Not poverty, but from, first of all, she's just not a materialistic person. So even if she had been surrounded in that stuff, she really wouldn't have been materialistic growing up. But she's allowed to be materialistic. Does that make sense? And that's the thing, is that we're trying to teach you guys that you can be materialistic. You just can't be so with the intent of harm to yourself and others. Does that make sense? Because we need the poor to become materialistic, because they deserve to have material things. And a lot of poor people are really good people, not because they've been denied things, but because, and it's actually not even being a good person, it's just that they're fucking abused. You know what I mean? Because they go out and they go, oh, I don't need this, and it's literally like life-saving healthcare. Do you see what I'm saying? Because they're denying their own needs and denying their own need for material goods, and it is killing the United States of America. Because these people need things. They need things to look up and look forward to. They need to go shopping, and they also need to not be super fucking materialistic like some of you out here, who think that the world is your playground where everyone else is your slave. You can't do this. And they get so angry when you tell people that it's so funny that you keep making rape threats to Michael, because nobody takes you seriously, and you're gonna die, and you don't scare her. You look fucking stupid. You look like a piece of shit, and she's not scared of you. None of us are. This is Bill, and none of us are fucking scared of you. Let's make that fucking clear. You're not gonna rape and murder your entire fucking way through the world. And Michael, my wife, Michael, and I are not going to deal with this bullshit with any of you. You're all going to die, and I will back over you with a fucking dumpster truck before you ever go near my fucking wife and her pajamas or anything. Just stay the fuck away from my wife. I'm gonna be in the front seat, and she's gonna be side saddle with me in the front seat, and then in her pajamas, and then we're gonna run you over with a fucking dump truck before you ever touch my fucking wife, you fucking piece of shit. Fucking stay away from my family, and stay away from Alita, and stay away from my family, and stay away from everyone. Just fuck off. How about that? How about that? You know what I mean? Because you're not gonna keep doing this shit to people. Fucking poser ass. Okay, so yeah, and Michael's dad's been here the whole fucking time. Fucking so fucking Jesus Christ, you don't want to mess with that dude. Michael's whole family's here on this. That's pretty much every good and loving and hating individual in the world, and no saver, rapist, murderer, pedophile, bullying, slanderers. Michael can tell the difference between bullying and somebody having a bad day too. And you guys need to understand that you have to understand. You're morally obligated to understand the emotions and motivations of another human being. Because not only could they need your help, they could be someone who's a danger to you. You were literally morally obligated to make sure that this world is a better place through uplifting your fellow individual. Dude, it's so funny whenever Mikey literally cuts a dude open from fucking head to fucking navel, on stage, she eviscerates a dude like a cow. That is how tough this girl is. She says, fuck your shit sack, and she just rips you open on fucking stage, and people throw up. But she lists his crimes, as a dismemberment rapist before she does it. And it's looking so cool. It really is, because people stop. You understand me? People stop doing this shit. They stop. Because they see Michael get up here, and she's not a victim, and she has a giant fucking sword, and she doesn't. Do you see what I'm saying? Once the pedophile, rapist, murderer threat is over, through great actions, through amazing actions like Michael is about to make, she doesn't do torture. Does that make sense? But it becomes, the crimes are so, there's 10 million of these people, and they've been raping and murdering their way through 7 billion people. And we have a special niche here called dismemberment rapist. And it's someone who dismembers someone and rapes them and shit. Cuts off their eyes and nose and shit as they're raping them and shit. Do you see what I'm saying? They're really fucking fucked up. And they did this to girls and made money off of it for such a long time that Michael actually snaps seeing some of this shit. And she doesn't torture him. Does that make sense? She just kills him publicly in front of a lot of people in a screaming crowd. Does that make sense? And we want this to be normal. We want this to be understood, that she is, she's that Aztec trickster god that's shown up to show you guys what sacrifice really meant back in the day. And it was not of the people, man. She goes, I've had the fucking enough, and just starts chopping his heads off and rolling them down the steps, man. And we all go, and it's like a concert back in the 1500s and shit. This might be before, but she just goes, and she's really old, We all are. That's the thing, And we all start realizing this because of Michael. Michael is sent here to awaken the gods. Does that make sense? And she's been saying that for a while. So Michael is God, God. And we all voted, right? We all love her as leader. It's very hard to be Michael. It's not a job that you just want. Does that make sense? Because it's very hard to be Michael. And she makes it look easy, but all of you would cause world destruction trying to be in this job if you weren't her. You would just fuck it up. And so it's just don't. Just that. I have to do that too. When this is built, I have to do that too. I have to be like, okay, I'm just gonna let you work. She's the best undercover cop of all time. And she's also, which is so funny because Michael's black and all the races and stuff, and she's even undercover as a white woman. It's so funny. A really elaborate plan here by the ancestors here of all races going. They're just like. Let me tell you, is it weird being inside your wife's body? And is it weird for Michael? Yes, this is very weird. You have to understand how weird and how personal it is physical possession of another individual is, and how it's also kind of friendly with all of us, where we just go, hi, what's up, hi, because Michael looked in the mirror the other day and she saw Alita, because we can do this. Does this make sense? And it's a lot of it is because of Michael, and it's because she can just see you guys. Does that make sense? And so she can also experience time where you're experiencing it too. Does that make sense? And people think that they can take advantage of this power that Michael has for a WMD to possess people and get into their bodies and kill them inside their bodies. And this is who Michael is actually really worried about. That fucking piece of shit lady that stalks Michael and shit like that. So she has to die. Michael's she's saying she's gonna kill her before she's ever born, because she's not gonna let monsters like that take over the minds of us as gods. And so, but Michael is God. Michael is God. So Michael is all capitals G-O-D, and then she's all lowercase G-O-D, and then she's G capital O D, and then she's G capital O capital, and then she's G capital O little d, and then she's G capital O capital D. Do you see what I'm saying? Does everybody understand? And she's every single variation of that, of God, like that. Does that make sense? And then we're God. Does that make sense? Like capital G-O-D. Does that make sense? And she raises us into being this way, right? And she's trying to make us equal in spiritual power to Michael. And she'll tell you, you know, when you reach it, it's like reaching enlightenment. Does that make sense? Of like just being a good and kind and moral and integral person, and a bad person and a hateful person too. Because Michael executes people. So Michael knows what it means to be a good person. Does that make sense? Not now. She's never killed anybody before. Obviously, she's an innocent soul. That's why she's been picked for this. But Michael, when she becomes a judge, and Michael when she becomes a cop, and Michael when she becomes the vice president, Michael, as a lawyer and as an individual, accepts her responsibility of executing you for dismemberment rape. That is a self-defense mechanism of the earth saying no. Do you understand that? So if you can't understand that, you can't be a leader here. And you trying to make Michael into a criminal because she's going to step up and make sure that you can't dismemberment rape your way through this community because she's the vice president, and gave a Ned Stark speech explaining that this is what's going on to the people, because none of you have ever explained this to the people because you wanted to take advantage of them. Now, you wanted to take advantage of the people so you could rape and murder and dismemberment rape them. That's very clear. You're fucking disgusting. You're a disgusting human being. Michael is the being as God sent to judge you and save us. Do you think that you as a dismemberment rapist were going to get into heaven or hell? No, you're going to be erased. Not rape and murder and dismemberment rape your way through this community. This is the very reason why Michael is here, because she loves her family and true love and keeping everybody safe and giving everybody these social programs. But she understands that there's terrorists in this community that have to die. Now, you're not arresting Obama for executions. You're not arresting United States judges for executions. Trump is being arrested for murder and rape and executions with the intent of political gains. Michael is executing you for dismemberment rape and sexual trafficking and rape of a woman and rape and murder of a woman to cover up the rape. That's why you are being judged. And Michael, and I mean, you guys see Judge Dredd on TV. You guys see things, you know, openly every single day that are explaining to you the moral and integral process of what's going to happen behind Michael's leadership of saying, okay, there's 10 million pedophiles in this community. Then Michael, as a legal representative of the people, is going to execute you publicly. And people will know your crimes. And some of you won't be public because she doesn't want you to get off on it. She knows the difference. She's a psychic and she's also a genius. And so you, after trying to criminally rape and murder and enslave my wife, which you gathered a bunch of proof on yourself, nothing to do with Michael. This is all showing how the process of the law is never going to be in your hands ever again, as a man or a woman, or any of you who thought that you were going to falsely charge this girl, especially after Trump is being charged with pedophilia and you all raped her with a terrorist group for 3 years. It's laughable and insane that you ever thought that you were going to get away with that, and that's why all of you are going to be executed following Alexandria and James calling and Kamala calling Michael, who are her very dear friends, after they call her. You're all going to be executed. And if you try to ignore her as United States elected officials, when all of us as celebrities and all of us as the community know what you did to her, we will impeach and execute you if Michael is raped. You have a no-way situation. You're not going to arrest her. You're not going to go anywhere near her. You're going to stay the fuck away from her. And that's what's going to happen. And you're not going to harm anyone in this community ever again. And you're not going to target Michael politically as the vice presidential elect candidate who is removing most of your industries from being viable because you raped and murdered people to keep those industries viable, like big oil. So you have a bunch of billionaires over here who have been dismemberment raping people, trying to charge the vice president with things that she didn't do so they can criminally rape and murder their way through these communities. I build trust my daughter around Michael and my daughters around Michael. That should say something. Because I ain't like none of yous. Michael has 24,000 kids and orphans in her care that she saves out of slavery conditions from people like you, and gives therapy and education and puts them in giant groups so that they'll never be taken advantage of again. There's her over here, and there's all of you trying to cover up rape and murder and pedophilia for a pedophile. And you're not going to get anywhere near Michael, Leslie Skeleton, my client. James, you need to speak up for my wife. And you're not going to get anywhere near Michael, Leslie Skeleton, my client, with your fraudulent shit so you can rape her. You're all going to be executed, and it's hysterical that you made premeditated rape plans to the point where you guys bought condoms, you guys bought toys, you guys bought masks, you guys bought torture items, you guys made torture items, and then we've been watching all of this, and you're just not going to do anything, Alexandria, and wait until it spirals out of control. They have rape militias. So this means 5,000 people could show up and want to rape somebody in a 10 million group of sexual traffickers. And you would just let that happen because there's 5,000 of them, all in a group that all need to die immediately. So that would be your moral failing, Alexandria, and your failure of planning. And you can't get together and weaponize this community against rapes and rape militias who want to target other various celebrities and even my family out here. And Michael protected all of us. Michael just saw a rainbow on the door of her, on her door. So they're never going to get here. They're never going to, because we're stopping this before it happens. Right, Alexandria? President-elect Alexandria, right? Just like you didn't stop all those other rapes before they happened. You're going to stop this one, or you're going to be executed. Do you want us to rape you on a cross and chop your fucking head off, bitch? Because that's what's going to happen. We'll do that to you if you do that to her. So, she's brought you nothing but proof. And the fact that you haven't called her today is fucking insane. And we can charge you with insanity for abusing her. We will charge you with insanity for abusing Michael. Michael is a blessed figure and a blessed individual and a deity to her community. And her families are as well. And she's brought so much beauty into this world, and these people just want to kill it because they know that they're never going to be a part of it. And they just want to rape and murder good people on camera for money. And Michael is stopping that forever and keeping all of you safe and making sure that that never happens again. And then we're going to make horror movies, and we're going to make, scary movies, and we're going to do whatever we want in these movies because we're good people and you're not good people. And we're never going to let bad people in this industry ever again. If Michael tells you no, you know what I mean? Wait for her to offer you something else that would be more compatible with what you're trying to do. Does that make sense? Because she's not going to abandon you, but some of you are going to get told no if you're sick, and she'll execute you if you try to, because there's a reason. There's a reason why she says no, which is a lot of you are participating in sexual trafficking or only want the job to take advantage of women or men or something, and we're not going to let you do that. We've needed Michael in this industry for such a long time. You all have been raping and murdering people and dismembering people, and you're not going to get to do that anymore because Michael is standing up for us. And that's all that you need to know. And did you hear and understand and fully understand that whole speech and understand why Michael is God and the voice of God? So you understand God is real and inside of this girl, because she's even telling you your crimes before you commit them. And you're bullshit. You're a slave, rapist, murderer, pedophile. You're not enlightened, and you can't just steal Michael's speeches and pretend to be her and then manipulate people, because I'll execute you. And I don't want to have to execute an entire group of people because you miseducated them into rape, which is what you're all doing. And I will do it because they're not safe to have on this earth, and so you'll all have to die. So Michael is a really good and bad and balanced individual, and you're a bunch of fucking pieces of shit psychopaths who got caught being pieces of shit psychopaths who are never going to be in this world again. And you just heard Michael's entire speech, her entire world, and the fact that she knows that you're committing these crimes already before you ever commit them should let you know that Michael is God. And then you just keep trying to attack her because you're fucking sick. You're sick and you have a problem, not with hate, but you have an addiction to rape and murder and slavery and pedophilia and lying and bullying and slander and abuse and enslaving other people because you're already done it and you're already going to get charged with it. So you just go, why not do more of it? Nobody's stopping you. Michael is stopping you. And you're trying to have her abused, like you've put tons of officers in jail for reporting you for drug trafficking. They're fellow officers for drug trafficking because they're also sexually trafficking and gun running trafficking. And you want to commit school shootings, you want to blow us up, you want to kidnap people, you want to rape people, you want to rape kids, you want to rape animals, and then you want to go after the one person trying to keep us all safe, God. When we can all tell that this is God inside of this girl and that what you're trying to kill is self-belief in the people and God inside of the people and belief inside of the people so that you can pretend with all of Michael's money that you're a God when you're just a rapist, slaver, murderer, pedophile, and you look fucking dumb. She's gonna set you on fucking fire like the fucking thing at the fucking barbecue, and then we're all gonna go have a family dinner. That's how balanced this girl is. This is like, you just have to die, and we aren't gonna argue this anymore. You all know you're in the wrong, and we don't have to keep arguing with you. We aren't even arguing with you. We're talking to our constituents of, do you want this to happen to you because you're trying to pretend to be Michael, and then they do all of this shit to you? Or you just want to let her die and then you're going to pretend to be her? Nobody will ever listen to you. Nobody will ever listen to anyone who let Michael and Alexandria and Kamala die so they could pretend to be them in the situation, or pretend very specifically just to be Michael. No one will ever listen to you. And if anything happens to me or my family, I'm Bill fucking Skarsgård. I'm like the most famous fucking actor on the fucking planet. And not only am I just Bill Skarsgård, I've got all the other most famous fucking actors on the fucking planet out here saying, hey, go fuck yourself. Fucking rapists.